Hi, Glenn Lim here, teaching you on today's module called The Hero's Journey. There are many presentation models out there that you can use to share your story, but this is by far the most powerful. It's a personal life design framework and it's very systematic. All you need to do is just follow the sequence. But before I share and reveal to you the hero's journey, I want to give you a brief history where this came from. The author is Joseph Campbell, and he was the one who wrote this book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. This was in 1950, very long ago. But in it, he outlined the psychology of human transformation, and he shared that there were 12 to 17 stages of the hero's journey that we all follow, and it's very predictable and universal. All of the old traditional fables, stories, mythology, all follow this hero's journey. And it's very relevant till today because all of the exciting and engaging adventures and movies like Star Wars, Matrix, Lord of the Rings, 007, and even cartoons like Kung Fu Panda and Lion King, they all follow this same sequence. And that's why it's so captivating, so inspiring. People want to follow the story. That's why we also use the hero's journey, but instead of the 17 stages, we break it down to 5 stages, very easy to follow, right? Before I reveal it to you, I want to tell you the story of this young little African girl called Shalom Black. And what happened to her story was that one day she was sleeping under the kitchen stove. Her mother didn't see her and came and tripped over a hot boiling oil on the stove. The whole pot just fell on her. She was scalded very badly. 2/3 of her body was burned. She nearly died. What happened after that was that she was in deep pain, lots of surgery. She was in denial. She was very angry and she blamed the world for her problems. At school, she was often bullied because of her looks and she was very suicidal. Now, one day, just before her auntie sent her over to the States to study, she saw on YouTube of another girl about the same age who was cancer-stricken. She was going to die. But in the YouTube, she was giving advice and she was sharing her story, and she was very, very positive. She was challenging her viewers not to give up on life. There's so much to live for and to fulfill their potential. And then she looked at this YouTube and she said to herself, if she can do it, who am I not to do it? Who am I not to stay alive and be positive? So from that day onwards, she decided to change her mindset. She stopped blaming people. She confronted and addressed her own self-consciousness. She addressed her shame, her self-esteem, and she decided to build herself again. She decided to do makeup, and makeup was her outlet of, at first it was just covering her shame and her scars, right? But later on, she decided to do tutorials on YouTube as well. She opened her account and she taught people how to use makeup to cover their flaws. It became so popular, she has today more than 2 million over followers, and she's using that as her own business. And her own transformation came from accepting herself. So self-acceptance was a big issue for her, confronting her shame, and now learning to use makeup to build confidence in herself and to her viewers. Today, she inspires millions of people online, especially young girls. She has a heart to tell them, and her message is to look for the inner beauty. Beauty is not an outward appearance, but an inside virtue. Okay, so I've just shared with you the hero's journey of this girl, Shalom Black. Did you catch it? Did you catch the 5 stages? Well, let me reveal to you the 5 stages here, okay? So you've got stage 1, apprehension; 2, inspiration; number 3, confrontation; number 4 would be transformation; and lastly, contribution. So you can see that it journeys downwards to rock bottom, to the pits, and to the dark places, and then you emerge like a butterfly. So can you remember what I shared about Shalom Black? Well, let's take a look at stage 1. Stage 1, she was in denial. Apprehension means there's a fear, that there's this rejection of what seems to be the norm for people. How come I'm like that? So you blame people, right? How come I'm so sway? I know I'm so fated. And then all the problems. So in this stage, you can share about the current situation and the problems that you face maybe from your past. And then stage 2 is actually inspiration, meaning who are the mentors in your life? It could be a book, it could be some kind of YouTube. For her, she saw, and then she followed this cancer-stricken YouTuber, and she herself was inspired. Okay. Stage 3 is confrontation. finally, you have to really address your issues. And confrontation is almost like a struggle and a conflict to fight. But fight against who? Most of us, we like to fight against external issues, right? Or other people. But actually, you need to fight against yourself. And for her, she stopped blaming others. She decided to focus on her inner self and clear the self-doubts and the fears, and then to use makeup as a way to build herself again, which leads to stage 4. Stage 4 is transformation. No point you just fight, and then you lose, right? So you got to change. And in her case, she was able to forgive her past, accept her identity and her inner beauty, and rebuild her self-esteem. Now, it's very important to take note that you can't just stay at stage 4. Oh, I've been there, done that, and now I'm transformed. A real hero have to contribute, have to give back. And for her, she's now inspiring young girls globally, with their self-worth and accept themselves for who they are, discovering their inner beauty. And this is the part which gives you purpose and meaning in life. And for us, becoming that hero, quote and unquote. Okay, so once again, these are the 5 stages of the hero's journey which you can design. You can use these stages and plug in the various components. So here are some helpful questions or points that you can take note for each stage. First stage, apprehension. Ask yourself what situation or where are you at in terms of your initial denials, or fear, and what were you dissatisfied with, and what were you struggling against with, right? And for many of us, how is it that we can step out of that comfort zone, right? So that's stage 1. Next, stage 2 would be inspiration. Is there someone in your life right now? It could be a family or a friend that is trusted and that you can share with, who knows your problems and who knows that and is there to cheer you on. Or maybe some of us don't have the privilege of that person. We look to books. For me, certainly it was like books, when you read, when you get inspired by people like Nick Vujicic, no arms, no legs, but still, able to press on and achieve so much things in his life. It could be a YouTube, a video. It could be anything that inspires you and give you hope and change your mindset. Then, of course, for you, you have to confront your issues. You can't just be in denial all the time, right? There won't be any transformation if you don't address your issues. What are the temptations? What are you struggling with internally that people don't know and that you need to resolve it, right? And how do you address this, for example, emotions or thoughts or beliefs, that is causing you to be stagnant in your growth. Next, you have to identify where are the areas that you can transform, or what have you been, how have you been growing, right? How have you been transformed? How have you changed, either in your mindset or your sense of identity, who you are? How have you been reshaped and renewed? Maybe it could be some negative attitude in the past, and all these things must be evident. Your transformation means I can see, it's demonstrable, it's observable. And lastly, if you have not already thought about the 5th stage, how are you going to give back to society? How have you been contributing, either through volunteering, but it's not just time, because you have a story to tell. So how have you been using your experience to inspire other people, sharing with other people, like for example, using the hero's journey, right? And telling your story, because people need to hear real human stories of change, courage, and overcoming. So if you have gone through your own pain, you can repurpose that pain by sharing with others and inspiring them to do good as well. I hope you learned from this hero's journey and you are able to craft your personal life design according to this framework, but I'll leave you with 4 key points. Okay, so take note of these 4 points when using the HJ or the hero's journey. Number 1, your hero's journey can be shared in 2 to 3 minutes. It's as simple as that because it's so clear, right? So systematic, the 5 stations, or up to 10 minutes depending. For me, I've used it in 30-minute settings and even a 45-minute speech before. And the point that I'm trying to make is when you try to increase the length, the duration of your sharing, you don't just add in from all over the shop, right? And then rojak the whole thing. You still stick to the 5 stages, but you can elaborate a little bit more of the points and the information, which brings me to number 2. You should add in the narrative, the stories, maybe the names and characters of the different people according to the 5 stages. In each one of the stage, you can elaborate a bit more details depending again on your usage. Okay. Now, number 3 is you can actually cross stage. In other words, you don't need to follow the sequence or in order. although it's advisable to do so. But I know for some of you, for example, stage 2 inspiration, you don't have that yet. You don't have the mentor until you reach stage 3, when you're doing that confrontation, that struggle, that battle that you're fighting with, right? Your inner demons. And then all of a sudden there's this mentor or counselor that came into your life. And so it's fine. You can go to stage 3 first before you go to stage 2 and find that mentor or inspiration. For some of you, you have not have stage 5 yet, contribution. Or maybe you are already at stage 5, you're already volunteering and giving back, but you are still at stage 3, confronting your inner struggles, because especially for things like drug addiction, etc., it's actually lifelong. It's how you manage it as well. So just bear in mind, you can cross stage, don't need to follow in a sequence. Lastly, I want to encourage you that even if you have not experienced or gone through the whole journey of the 5 stages, you can still use this framework to design your future. So I know for many of us, maybe you're still stuck at stage 3, or maybe not even stage 3, you don't even know that you have a problem that you need to deal with, right? You can use this to design your future. It doesn't mean that you're not doing anything at stage 5, contributing or giving back. It doesn't mean that you don't design it and plot it in. In fact, you can project your life. That's why I say this hero's journey is very powerful, because as a framework, you can literally design your future, your destiny. And you should take control of that. It's your responsibility to be in full control of your life journey. So if you only have one life and one journey, why don't you make it a hero's journey that leaves a legacy and inspires the generations?